Hello techies, I'm Divya here. On behalf of CyberBrainer, don't you think the world of tech is evolving faster than ever? Now is the perfect time to dive in and build the skills that will take you places. With CyberBrainer, we are putting you in the driver's seat of your own future. We at CyberBrainer don't just teach your interest. We believe that knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge that truly sets you apart. Whether you're diving into data science, mastering artificial intelligence, or exploring the world of cybersecurity, our courses are designed to give you the skills that matter. So let's jump into the session and make the future yours today. Thank you.
We were talking about custom reports, right? We have created a custom report. We saw that we have to choose a data source. And how should we choose a data source? The data source should give us the amount of data that we are looking for, right? And we should try to use the data source that is more suited to our purpose. It should have only the data that we want. In that way, we ensure that our data sources are of good performance. And there are two types of data sources, standard data sources versus indexed data sources. And if possible, if an indexed data source is available, then we should always search or use an indexed data source. And then we talked about business objects and related business objects as well. Every report has a primary business object and we have a related business object with it as well. Depending on what kind of data you want. First is you have to research where is that particular field available, right? We have to choose the particular object, business object, and then the related business object, right? That is what we will do. And then we talked about how we can create prompts in our custom reports, right? If I go to my custom report, we had created some custom prompts, we had created filters, we had done some sorting and on. This is all that we have done. And we also saw how we could share the report, right? We shared the report with authorized users. And then we also saw the option to share it with specific authorized users and groups. Right. We saw that. And then now what we are going to do is we are going to schedule this report that it can run. It can run automatically without anyone having to run it manually. Right. Sometimes what happens, especially if it's a large report, if it runs for a long time, then sometimes it becomes very problematic. I would say, if you run it during business hours, because it affects the system performance, the people might have issues while using the system. In that case, what should we do is we should try to schedule this report during like off hours or outside business hours, right? Because that will help us to get. That would not impact the other users. And also we will try sometimes we will try to use to schedule it over the weekends where we are sure that there is minimum user load. These things can be done. And that for that we may have to schedule this report to run on its own. How do we do that? We go to the related actions. And then we go to custom report and we have the option to schedule it. We have the option to schedule. If I do that, see, it asks you this is the report that you are trying to schedule. And what is the run frequency? By default, the option is run now that you want to run the report now. Right. But I don't want to run it now. I want to schedule it. You have multiple options for scheduling. This is the same scheduling options that you will see for EABs as well as for core connectors. For anything in Workday, if you want to schedule it, this is the same scheduling options that you will get. The first one says run once in the future. You want to run it right. You want to run this report once, but at a future date. You don't want it to recur. You just want it to run it once. Right. maybe at the end of the financial year. You want to run it once. That's all. You have tested the report, you have created it. Now you want to schedule it. Just run it once. If that is the case, you select this option and you specify the date and time that the report is going to run. But let's say I want to run it on a daily recurrence. It should run daily, every day of the week. If I want to do that, then I can select this option, a daily recurrence. Let's choose that. Let's choose a daily recurrence and click. Here you have to specify these prompt options. Because remember, we have selected these as the prompts from hire date and to hire date. Now, when you are running this report, who is going to enter these data? Right? It will run on its own. We should be able to enter those values. We should be able to have something here that the dates are auto-populated every time the integration of the report runs. We are going to run this daily. What should be the from hire date and to hire date? It depends again. Right? Like you can run it like between yesterday and today. Can we do that? Between yesterday and today, who are the people who were hired? Isn't. Because we are running it daily, we only want the daily hires. Let's say from hire date, we will say determine value at runtime. Because we don't want to give a fixed value. We want to say determine value at runtime. To hire date is also something that we will say determines value at runtime. Now what is the from? We will say yesterday. Right. Yesterday. As for the system time and then to hire date would be today. Today's system date. If we do that, then all the workers who are hired between yesterday and today, only those workers would be given in the report output. Isn't it? Run. This is an interesting option. If you run it daily, if you run this automatically daily, it will run with these parameters between yesterday and today. We are going to run. And then what time do you want to run it? You want to run it every weekday, Monday to Friday. Or you want to run it You want to run it every weekday, Monday to Friday. You want to run it every day. If you specify one every X days, if you specify one day, that means it will run on all the days of the week. If you just want to run it every alternate day, specify 2. If it starts with Monday, then it will run on a Wednesday, then Friday, then Sunday, then Tuesday, then Thursday, then Saturday, then again Monday. If you want to run it like that, then you specify every 2 days. If you want to run it every 3 days, that is fine. If you want to run every 7 days, every 10 days, right? That is also. You can do that like this. If you want to run it every 10 days. Irrespective of whatever the date is, you want to run it every 10 days. That is something you can do. But we want to run it every 1 day, right? Because that is the launch parameter we have used. We have used between yesterday and today. Ideally, we should run it daily. At what time you want to run? Let's say I want to run just before everybody comes into office. Let's say I want to run it at 6:30 in the morning. That, even if it takes a long time, the report should be available by the time everybody comes into office at 8 o'clock. Before that, the report should be ready. We want to run it at 6:30 in the morning. And what time zone? We have to specify the time zone. Since we have used here yesterday's system and today's system, it might make sense to run it using the specific time zone. Because we are using the system in our launch parameter. But it doesn't have to be the Los Angeles time. It can be any time. It can be any time in the world. You can use all time zones. And you can choose any time zone that you want. Let's say I want to run it at the Korean Standard Time. That is fine. Korean Standard Time. That is absolutely fine. Depends what time zone, what time your users are. Maybe you want to create this schedule, this report based on that. And what is the start date? When do you want this report to start running on its own? Let's say from the 19th. And you have to specify an end date as well. Let's say I want to run it till 06/1/2022. Till the 1st of June. This is going to run daily at 9 am. 6. Korean Standard Time. Alright. Now, what would be the output type? Because its report will run on its own. Correct? What will be? Nobody is going to be able to see it on the screen. Right? Because it is running at a different time of the day where most people will not be in the office. After the report runs, we want the output. What will be the output? If I just have a chart and a table, I won't be able to see the chart and the table on the screen. Right? Because I am not logging into the screen at that point. I want the output in a file. You see, it has to be specified. And the three options that we have are in an Excel format. You can have it in a PDF format. Or you can have it in a text format. Correct. What will you do with the report? That will dictate which option you choose. If you are going to, let's say, just attach it somewhere and present it to the higher management, maybe you can use a PDF format, right? But if you are going to do some other tasks on it, if you put it in a macro, if you run some macros on it, do some calculations, update something, maybe it makes sense to have it in an Excel format. And anyway, after you do some manipulations, corrections, you can anyway export it as a PDF from your Excel itself. Right? Or if you want it in a text format, that is also possible. You may have it in a text format as well. You can create a text format. After that, how many days you want to retain the output within Workday? By default, it's 5. Maximum you can have is an 80. That is the maximum you can have. Between 0 and 180, choose a good amount. Let's say 10 days. That means it will be available in Workday for 10 days. After 10 days, it will be automatically deleted from Workday. If you have saved a copy, you have the copy, right, in your local computer. But it will be deleted from Workday after 10 days. If I specify the number of days as 10, do not output an empty report. Right? If I check on this option, that means that if I run the report and it did not find anybody, maybe on a Monday morning, if I run this report over a Sunday, there were no hires because offices were closed. On Monday morning, the report will give a 0 output. Do I want that output? Probably no. Right? What will I do with it? It's every Monday. I will get a blank Excel file. If I do not want that, I can click on this option. Do not output an empty report. Some people prefer to have it this way. If the report is empty, do not send me a report or do not give me a report. But what if? Well, some people are a bit cautious. They might think, oh, but what if the report didn't run? What if there was a problem in the system? Is it just me, or did nobody else get the report output? They might doubt the system. In that case, what happens? We would rather send them an empty report. They will open it up and they can see that the report was blank. It depends on how your users want to have the report. I prefer this. Do not output an empty report. But sometimes users prefer the other way as well, having an empty report in their reports. And if you want, you may also hide the prompt values that it doesn't say what are the date ranges between which it ran. But I prefer to have it. Then we have an option called share. Now, this is different from the sharing of the report. There is a very important thing mentioned here. Are you able to read this, or do you want me to increase the font? Are you able to read this? Alright, what does it say? It says you specify the sharing options for the report output. Note that selecting share report with other users below you are authorizing the specified users the right to view the report and its data exactly as you see it, regardless of their security. What happens if you just share the report definition? What happens? Other people are able to run the report. Correct. That's what we discussed. If you share the report with other users, they are able to run the report. But they will only be able to see the output as per security permissions. If they do not have access to a particular field, they would see that field as blank in the report output. But that is if you are sharing the report definition. If you are asking other people to run the report. But here what happens? You are running the report with your ID. You are sharing the report output directly from the system. You have to click on this. If you are going to click on this option, share report output with other users, you have to agree to the statement that yes, you understand that they will see the report exactly as you see it, regardless of their security. What happened was somebody created a report. It contains some confidential information like credit card and social security numbers and etc. And they shared it with a lot of people. Maybe it's a power group. They shared it with those group of people. Now what happened was, the people that the person shared it with were not authorized to view that information. That was a major security breach. It happened around 3-4 years ago. It was a major security breach. Now, every now people had this PDF containing the social security numbers and what credit cards and personal date of birth and all those dependent information, phone number, etc. in their email addresses. Right. And I think it also had compensation information and on. It was one kind of master report. Somebody didn't realize it and they shared it with a lot of other people. Shared the report output with other people. Then what happens? Those people got all the data even though they were not authorized to see it. But then there was a big lawsuit against Workday. This is a security violation. How do you allow the system to show data to people who are not authorized? I thought that people will not be able to see data that they are not supposed to see. Right. That was the rationale. Now then, what they argued, that yes, they will not be able to see it. But in this case, what happened? You shared the report output. Oh, what happens in that case? Let's say, if you prepare a report and you send it over an email to somebody, and they are not authorized to see it. When they open the report, will some of the data magically disappear? You send a PDF document to somebody and let's say they are not authorized to see it. What happens when they open the PDF? Will some of the columns appear blurred or vanish altogether? Right. They will be able to see the data because you have just sent them a PDF as an attachment. Correct? That's what will happen. Here also it's a similar thing. If you are sharing the report output with somebody, they will see the report output as if you have created the output and send it to them over email. It is equivalent of that. What they argued in that line, that it was purely a user error, not a system error. Then, at the end of the lawsuit, what came out was you have to alert the workers or alert the users in some manner. That this is different from sharing the report definition. This is why Workday came up with this particular kind of agreement. That if you are sharing with other users, let's say I am sharing this report with Steve Morgan. Steve is going to get a copy of this report, and I am also going to share it with Betty. Betty is not there. Let's say Oliver Reynolds. I am going to share this with Oliver Reynolds and Steve Morgan. And I am going to also set this up with the compensation administrators. Whoever is the compensation administrator, they are going to be able to see this particular report. This is what I want. But I have to agree to the statement above that I understand that irrespective of their security, they will see the complete out. Makes sense? Understood. The difference between sharing the report output versus sharing the report definition. If I click on it, saves it. Now what will happen? This report will run on the schedule, which is 6:30 am. Korean time. Between 19th of April till the 1st of June. And the output will be come to the scheduled point in the range of reference. Anyway, we are giving the scheduled time. Every day, I need this data. That means every day, in the sense, there is an endless job. It has to be. It has to be created every day until the company is there. Until the company closes. Correct. You may want. That is what I meant. Every day means. Every day, it is running every day. Between these 2 days, you can specify the end date when it will stop running every day. If I don't want to mention I wanted to, every day means it has to be created. If I don't give that date, I'll apply. It is mandatory. That's what you saw. It is a mandatory field. After completion of that date, I have to go back and I have to reschedule again. Correct. You can specify 2022. Even though you have to go back and reschedule it. You have to go back and reschedule it again. Now there is a restriction here. The restriction says the entered information does not. It is the time-based trigger. What happens is you cannot schedule it too far in the future. In the next year, you should, beyond 1 year, you should have only like a few set of occurrences. Youth 90-20 That is something that is allowed. It is done. What happened? The Korean time. Is it already past Korean time? What is the date? It should not have passed. The time-based trigger. Let me change the time zone and see if that makes a difference. Because I'm just changing the... Alright, let's see. Still an issue. Time-based trigger. Let's put it as 6 into 1. What we had before. Let's see. Something went wrong somewhere. But the bottom line is we cannot change. I mean, we have to specify an end date. Most jobs in Workday, they are not like to the end of time. You have to specify an end date for the job. Whenever you are specifying it, this is the annual maintenance activity with the organizations. They would reset the schedules. You have to validate again whether you need to continue running this report again in the future or not. Move. Periodically, you have to review and reset the schedules. What is the task? To verify it. Scheduled future processes. Scheduled future processes. If you run this report, you can identify what type of process you want. Let's say I am looking for a report. First is we have to specify the report type, the process type. And let's say I want to specify a report and value-based pay. This is the process. And I want to see what is the schedule. This report has some issues with the permissions. I mean the scheduled future processes. Logan McNeil is not allowed to see. It is only some integration administrator is allowed to see. Let me see if I can run it using an implementer. The report administrator is supposed to do it. But sometimes I have seen people have reduced the access for Logan. She is not able to see this. Let me try with an implementer account. Schedule future process. And the process type is report. And it is base pay. Oh, now I am not the owner of this anymore. The owner is Logan. Logan is the owner of this report, this run. But then she is not able to see the report that has been scheduled by Logan McNeil. I should have to transfer the ownership of the report. We saw that. If I go back to Logan, Logan can schedule the report. And you have to specify the end date for the schedule. Typically, you have to do it once a year. Where do you reset the schedule? One more thing. After scheduling this report, should the system is switch on, or even though the system is switch off outside the ground. When the system is not available, right? Let's say you have entered something that is during the downtime, the annual, the weekly downtime. But let's say you have scheduled something during that time. Once the system comes back online, it will start those jobs. I think I asked you the wrong way. For example, as we mentioned in the morning 6:30, morning stiffly. It will not open. After coming inside of me, we will switch on the system. A computer. Which system? Computer. Computer. laptop or computer or something. If it runs with the server or it runs with the computer. Is Workday installed on your computer? It's a cloud-based download. Then will it only run if you switch on your computer? Will it only run if you switch on your computer? Then what's the purpose of scheduling a report? How it will get downloaded? The Excel report. We have to go and download the Excel, or it will automatically download Excel. What is the question? Will the report run on its own, or how would you download the Excel? After running the report, the Excel, how it will get downloaded? That is what my question is. But you started your question by saying, how will the report run? Are you clear on that? That the report can run even if you are not switched on or even if you are not logged into the system. As it is a cloud-based, we can know that that can run. But how it will get downloaded? Understood that. Now coming to the second part of your question, that how will the user know? How will the user understand or how will the user download the report? Coming to that part, remember notifications. You will get notified. There will be a notification here. And it will give something like this. Document available. The My Report. Something is now available in My Reports. And here is the report. You will click on it and you will be able to save it. You will click on that and you will be able to open the report and you will be able to save it. And it will also be viewable in your My Reports. It will be visible in My Reports. Each and every report output that has run and where logged or etc. Whoever is supposed to get the copy, you will get it in the inbox. And you will also see it in My Reports. Thank you. Now let's try to see some other schedules as well. If I go to my report, let's say I want to run it on particular days of the week. Only Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Then what should I do? I can go to the related actions. And then I can go to custom report and schedule. And then what happens? Which option should you choose? I want to run it on Monday, Wednesday and Friday of every week. Take a guess. Which one we may use? Monday, Wednesday and Friday of every week. Weekly recurrence. Custom reoccurrence. What about weekly recurrence? Why not monthly, weekly? Let's explore these first. We talked about daily. Right. But I want this to run every week. Right. Let's try weekly and let's see what happens. If I click on weekly, every week we want to run it. Every week we want to run on certain days of the week. Monday, Wednesday and Friday. You can choose that. I want to run it on every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. But every week. Or if you want to have every alternate week, you want to run it every third week. Then you specify 3. For days of the week, you can specify it here. And then, of course, start time. And then the catch-up behavior, like Mohan asked. What happens if the system is down? That is this catch-up behavior concept. What happens if the system is down at this particular time? Like let's say we have said that on Friday or every day you run it at. What happens? What will happen? Mon- Tuesday. But what happens on Friday? Friday to noon downtime. Friday's system will be down at 10 pm. What happens at that time? The report cannot be run. Right. At Tim. It will not be. It cannot be run at 10 pm. But then when will it be run? The moment the system is back online. Because that is the catch-up behavior. That is the catch-up behavior. After the system is back online, what do? You run it once. Let's say I don't want to do that. I only want to run it at 10 pm. If it misses, I don't want to run it. I will choose. That means if it doesn't run on this particular time, I don't want to run it. Alright, I don't want to run it. Anything other than 10 pm, if the system is down, I don't want to run it then. But when you schedule your reports, be careful about the system downtime. Production systems are down for 4 hours every week. 4 hours every week for maintenance. I think between midnight till 4 Pacific time. Friday midnight. Or I think it is Saturday midnight till Sunday 4 am Pacific time zone. That is when the production systems are down. The non-production systems are down between 6 pm to Saturday 6. This is something that you can specify. If the system is down, then what happens? If this report is not run, I will cancel this out. Now what if you want to run this report on particular days of the month? Every month. Then what would you do? Choose monthly. Choose monthly. You go to custom report and you schedule. And then there is an option to choose the monthly recurrence. Click. Then in that case, in the schedule option, you have which month. You want to run it every month. You want to run it only, let's say, only for the months of September and November. You only want to run it on these 4 months for whatever reason. Right? And which day of the month? Or do you want to specify the day of the week? You have these other options as the day of the month. Let's say I only want to run it on the 1st, the 7th, these 3 days of the month, and these 4 months. That's all. These are the only that I want to run. And you also have the other option where you select the days of the week. I only want to run first Monday, second Monday, first Tuesday, second Sunday. If you want to specify a particular day of the week, sometimes the business, this flexibility, you want to run it on the last Saturday of the month of these 4 months. Right. This will automatically calculate what is the last Saturday, and based on that, it will run for a lot of financial reports and sometimes also for a lot of the payroll reports. We run it like this. The last Friday of the month, that is when you should run the report. Right. Those examples are very common. That's why you have this option to run it for a particular day of the week. Or if you want to run it on the day of the month, you can do that as well. If your schedule does not follow any part, on certain days you want to run at 6 in the morning, on certain days you want to run at 8 in the evening. If there is no pattern whatsoever, you should go for the custom schedule, custom report, schedule, and then you can choose the custom schedule, the custom record. In that custom record, you have some certain options. What is your default start time? What is your default start time? Let's say by default to run it at in the morning, Pacific time. That is my default. On certain days, I want to run it on a different time. Let's say on a 21st, I want to run it. Or and you can keep adding rows like this. Let's say the 10th of May, I want to run it. And like this, you can occurrences. You can specify like this, right? But you can absolutely determine and what you want do the report. Although this gives you out of flexibility, but make sure that you define to find the search criteria accordingly. The report, because if you are trying to run a that task, then you have to be careful because the values will have to be determined at one time. Be mindful of that when we are doing custom report or custom schedule. We typically the number prompt to keep the prompts absolute minimum. We do want a lot of prompts. Understood. We want to keep it simple and straightforward that the report can roll. Otherwise, you have to define all those prompts. And if there is a mistake, your report will give you the wrong output. We don't want that. Right? Default start time. We have the start time here also. Then the default start time. Which one would it actually take? Going to run. I mean, the custom one. Right. If you specify any in the custom, it will take the custom. Now let's say if I want to specify another date, right? You see by default, what's the time it is selecting? By default, it is choosing default start time. Right. If I choose a date, let's say I want to choose something in June, 12th June. I'm choosing 20th of June. But by default, it will start at 3. If I want to change it, I can change it to something else. The custom start time will hold the correct. If you have specified the time, then this is the time. Then it doesn't matter what is the default start time. It won't even consider that because like you see here, the default start, the custom start time is after the default start time, isn't it? It will not run at 3 am and it will run only at 6 am Pacific time. if it's set to. If it's before 3 am, doesn't matter. Even if it is before 3 am, it doesn't matter. It will run only at the custom time because that is the time that you have specified. Whenever you add an entry, the moment you add an entry is the default start time for the new record. That is what it does. If you change it, you see the beauty of this. If I change it to something else, let's say 11 am, the moment I add another entry, what is it? What is the start time? It becomes 11:30. This default start time is omni. Will act as the most common start time that you want to specify. Whenever you add a new entry, it will use that as the custom start time. But of course, you can change it. That's it. This default start time will not trigger the report at that time. The report will not be triggered at this particular time, at the default start time. It is just to ease your data entry. The moment you add a new entry, you see, by default, it selects authority. That's all it is supposed to do, nothing else. If you specify some time in the grid, this time will be chosen, not the default time. Understood? I will cancel this. I will not save this. And you understood how that what is sharing the report output means versus sharing the report definition, like the share option that we see in the report definition. What does this mean? Versus sharing the report output from the schedule option. I have shared this report with Steve Morgan. Correct. Right. Steve Morgan can run this report. Let's run this report ourselves. Let's run this report ourselves and see what happens. I was going to ask you actually about that. Let me run this report. I am Nogamil. I am running this report. I have some parameters. Whatever are those parameters? From hire date and to hire date. Let's from hire date as the 1st of April to hire date, today's date. I am not giving any other filter. We have 2 workers. Alright, Jake. And this worker was hired. Why is this worker's date coming up? The date of hire is 16th of February. But still, this worker is showing up. Maybe this worker was hired between these 2 dates with a backdated entry. Maybe that's the reason. I don't want to proxy. I just want to see the worker history. Because I gave the hire date. And let me just quickly check the worker history. Why is this worker coming up? View worker history. The hire event also happened. The 17th February. Successfully completed. Let me search for overview worker history by category. Was the hire resented? And done again. This hire happened on 16th of February. What was the criteria? Work to base pay details. Let me just make sure that we have the right records. In the filter, we are choosing hire date is greater than Starting prompt, hire date, is less than. The ending prompt, dependence, is not a. And the base pay is greater than 1 la. And what about the prompts? A year ago, plus 1 day. That is a higher date. This is today. Let's see. Custom report. It is 18th April. My mistake. Let's do that. And click. That is why. That's why we have two. Because in this last 1 year, 18th April till 17th of April 22, these are the two workers who were hired. And that's what we saw. That Oliver was hired on the 6th of February. Let's do this. Let's proxy ask Steve Morgan. Why Steve Morgan? Because this report has been shared with Steve Morgan. Correct. Authorized users. Steve Morgan. Steve Morgan is authorized to use this particular report. Let's start proxy. Steve Morgan. Steve Morgan. Alright. Now Steve Morgan can run this report. Base. Here is the report. You see, Steve Morgan is able to access this report. If I run this by D, the same set of filters. He is able to view this information because I have shared the report with this particular worker. They are able to view this information. If Steve did not have access to certain fields, maybe the worker's age or the dependent's age, then these fields would appear as blank. Then this field will appear as blank. But he has access to all these fields. If he had it, for some reason, for the worker's age, if he had the access, then for worker's age, that data will appear as blank, even though that information is present in Workday. This is how Steve Morgan would see the report output. He has to run it and then see the report output. But then what? That option that we saw, where we were able to specify some options in the scheduling, share report output with other users. What does that mean? Let me start the proxy. And let me call Oliver Reynolds. Oliver Reynolds. A different worker. Did I share the base pay report with Oliver? I don't remember. Right, I don't think I did. Can I start? Wow, base pay details. He is not getting the option. Why not? Did I type the spelling correctly? Base pay, right? Oliver doesn't get to see it. Why not? The report is there. It's not shareable to him. Or or he can see just what is. Unlike you just mentioned earlier. But he cannot even see the report definition. I mean, he cannot even run the report. What? Because it's not shared. It's not shared with him. Because the report definition has not been shared with Oliver else, isn't it? Let me go back to Logan. Now Oliver says that I don't need to run the report myself. Right. I don't need to run it myself. You run it. And just share the output with me on a daily basis. I want the report at 6 in the morning in my inbox or in my notifications. Then what should Logan do? What should Logan do? Oliver doesn't need to have the report. He says, you just send me the report output every 6 in the morning. And it should be there in my notifications. I should be notified that I have the report every day, 6 in the morning. Daily read, which we schedule. If I share with a particular person, it will directly go to him, and it should be. That is the purpose. Sharing the report output. I schedule the report. Oliver wants it the 6 in the morning. I schedule the report. And what are the options? I will say daily recurrence. Daily recurrence. And I will ask him, for what duration do you want? He might say, I want the report. This is the base pay detail. I want the information about all the workers who are hired from the beginning of the month today. From the beginning of the month till today. The report for everything. I know it will be an incremental report. There will be repetition. Why? I want that. From till today. Today. You want. First day of the month. First day of the month. Can we do that? Let's try. First day of the month. What happens is, if I run the report, it will give me from April 1st. If I run it tomorrow, it will be April 1st till 8th. If I run it day after, it will be 1st of April till April 19th. It is like an incremental output, not incremental output. It is a full data. 4-5 all the workers who are hired between 1st of April to today's date. And again, what happens on 1st of May? Thus, the from hire date is 1st of May to hire date is May. And then it keeps on. This is like a monthly report. Some people want this kind of report. What will be the schedule? What did Oliver tell? What is the schedule? We will go 6 or you may be a bit careful. The report takes around 3 minutes to run. I might schedule it at correct. Just to be careful that it will take 3 minutes to run. No matter what happens, the report will be there with Oliver before, right? This might be a more smarter approach. You start 5 minutes early, and then when do you want it? Let's say he wants it from the 1st of May. He wants this report from the 1st of May. I give him from 1st of May. For the time being, schedule it till the end of the year. And who is going to get the output? In an Excel format. I want to share it in an Excel format. I want to share it with Oliver Reynolds. Right? and I agree to the statement. Above that, he will see the output. As I see it, irrespective of security. Oliver doesn't have access to this report. I'm sharing the report output with him every day. At around 6 in the morning, he will get a consolidated report in his notifications. He will see it in his notifications. He will also see it in his My Report section. And he will be able to download the report and do whatever he wants to do. Right? Understood. The difference. If you share a report definition, the person has the authority to run the report. If you are sharing the report output, it is like as if you are running the report yourself and you are sending the output to that particular person. Question. How different will that be? The person would still have access to the information. How different? How different would that be? If you want to restrict, if you want to have a process in place, only people who are authorized to view the data, only they should view it. If that is the situation, then what should you do? Should you share the report definition or should you share the report output? Which option should you take? Share the. Let me give you a specific example. You are creating a report for, let's say, compensation. Let's do this. Let's do the same report. You are going to. Let's go to this report. Let's make it a bit generic. And let's say base pay details. We are going to do some editing here. And I will remove certain filters. Alright. I will remove certain filters. Let me remove the filter about this. This is a salary amount, total base pay. And let me also remove the information about dependents. It is the employee is not empty. And the hire date between two particular dates. Let me share this with manager. Right. Let me share this with manager. Right. It's done. Can I proxy? Whom did I proxy? Whom did I do as a manager? Did any one of you hire any worker in the system? Let me go to Oliver Reynolds. Oliver Reynolds. Did I share it with Oliver? Specifically, I did not. Right. I shared it with all managers. Oliver is a manager. Now what happens? Oliver gets the authority to run this report. Base pay report. Base pay details report. Now he has the authority to run. You see, now he has the authority to run this. I want him to run with the same set of parameters as we were running before. And we saw two output. One was Oliver. One was Jake Lee. But now we have removed the filter anyway. Let's see what is the output now. Let's see what is the output. 1776 workers and then mostly is purged, person terminated and on. And why is it showing us Logan McNeil? Because Logan is also in this person's hierarchy. Let me search for a junior manager. Logan comes under Oliver's hierarchy. What about Jack Taylor? Carly Teresa. Let's see if Teresa can run this report as well. Teresa is also our manager. Let's search for Abebu Bespe. She can also. Now she also has access to it. You see, because I shared it with all managers, same set of parameters. Oliver Reynolds has 1776 records in the output. Let's see how many does Teresa have. We may have included Teresa as part of HR administrator as well. That may be the issue with the security. Same thing. But you see, for certain workers, she's not able to see the manager. She's not able to see the worker's age. See that Teresa is not able to see the worker's age. Write this because she doesn't have the access to see that. She doesn't have the access to see that. And I think we have also made Teresa H, our administrator or something. That's why she's able to see this much information. But what happens is she will not be able to see the report output that she's not authorized to like. Whenever we create this report and we share it with the managers, only then they can run this report only for their direct reportees. If you are the manager, you run this report. You see the output only as your reportees. I run it. I see only for my reportees. If you want the access control to kick in, you should share the report definition. Then if anybody runs the report, they will see the output as per their security permissions. If they are not eligible to see something, they will not be able to see that information. But if you want to share the report exactly as you see it, which is like with all the information, then you should share the report output. Rather than sharing the report, definition understood. Now, when we do a compensation statements right at the end of the year, let's say the salary increment statements, the letters, and we ask the managers to run it and distribute it with their reportees, right? What we do is we create the report, the compensation merit statement report. We create the report and we share it with the managers. We share the report definition with the managers. Does that mean the managers will come in and they will edit the report? No, they don't have the option to edit. They will be able to run the report. They will run it for each of their employees, right? And they'll print the output and send it to their reportees, right? But can they do it for somebody else? For somebody who is not reporting to their manager? The answer is no, because it will be not authorized. That is the concept of sharing the report definition. We do it all the time. Because sometimes what happens? We need to share this report with other users because everybody in the system might need to run it. That's why we may need to share, but then everybody would see the output as per their authorization levels. But yes, if you want to send them the output exactly as you see it, you would share the output. You will schedule the report and there you will share the output. Now let's say that we go to this report again, base pay details report, and you are no longer going to be the owner of this report. You are not going to be the owner. You want to transfer this to somebody else. You are no longer going to be the owner of this particular report. Then what happens? You want to transfer this to somebody. You can do that as well. If I go to the report, definition of the base pay details report, as of now, who is the owner? The person who created it is, by default, the owner. Right as of now, the report is owned by Logan McNeil, but now Logan is no longer going to be the owner. She is moving into a different position, let's say, or maybe somebody else is going to own this report. Going forward, she can transfer the ownership of this report to somebody else. The task to do that is, you go to Custom Report. You have the option to transfer the ownership. You click on Transfer Ownership and you select the name of the new owner, Steve Morgan. Alright, the task was completed successfully. Now if I click on Done Now, the owner of the report is Steve. Steve can make changes to this report now because Steve is the new owner. Can Logan make the changes? Most likely she can, because she is also having the authority of a report administrator. That's why she has the option to edit it. And she's also an her administrator. The report is shared with her anyway. But if it was any other user, they would no longer be able to change it. But she can because she is a security administrator. She is a report administrator. She can change, she can edit. But if it was the other case, if it was anybody else, they would no longer have the authority to edit the report. Once, then it is transferred to somebody else. If you want to transfer it back, you have the option to transfer ownership of custom report. Right, transfer ownership of custom reports. You have the option to run this task and you select the name of the report, Pay report, and whom you want to transfer it. To Logan McNeil, right? If you want to transfer it back to Logan McNeil, yes, you can do that. The task was completely successful. You can transfer it back and forth. One is, you can go to related actions of the report and take the transfer option, transfer ownership, or you can run this task, transfer ownership of custom reports, and you can transfer the ownership using this as well, right? But remember that each report has an owner. By default, the owner of the report is the person who is a user who created it, but it can be transferred to other. It can be transferred to other users as well. Got it? And the owner can transfer it back to correct. Yes, the owner can transfer it to somebody else. Now that person is the owner. Whoever they want to transfer, right? They can if they cannot transfer, if they do not have the authority to try, or maybe they did not transfer it on time, maybe they left the organization or something, then who can do it? The security administrator can do it. In that case, a security administrator has the authority to do the transfer, but they can transfer it back to themselves again. Right, correct. Yes, they can transfer it back to themselves. There we have the. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.